introduction, so it begins. So, we hear popularly in the modern world, that there are some aspects of traditional culture which we perhaps have lost. Ways of being green, ways of being organic. Like biochar is a big thing right now, the last few years. I don't know if anybody knows about biochar. But they used that in the old world. It's a system of fertilizing with with charcoal. Creates a home for friendly bacteria and holds moisture and does all sorts of things. Anyway, there's so many things that traditional cultures had right, actually, especially in terms of green and sustainable. So, I don't know if I'll be successful or not, but I'm going to try and take us back a little bit into some of the consciousness of the old world. And we will begin a little bit tangentially with Hitler. But we will find our way back into pagan Europe and the Indo-European civilization. So, I got a question for you. It is not a rhetorical question. It is a question I'm looking for an actual answer. The first question will just be a yes/no. So, we've got Hitler's Germany, Nazi Germany, say 1939, 1940. Blitzkrieg has begun, and that very powerful, scary force, the Third Reich, is on the way. It seems to be that there is a core group amongst the Nazis, because another thing that I've heard often is that many people in Germany did not know, or at least they proposed, they said after the war that we didn't know all that stuff that was going on, death camps and Auschwitz and all that kind of stuff. But at least many people did know. So this is a question between Socrates and the sophists, but we're going to bring it into this modern, somewhat modern light. If Hitler and a large group of people at that time decided that it was actually right, actually good, a good idea, a right idea, a moral idea, an ethical idea, to engage in, what is that, something like racial cleansing. Doesn't matter, you're a good person, you're a bad person, you're this, you're that, doesn't matter. You're a Jew, we're going to kill you. So a sort of racial genocide program. And he also had other programs, mental retardation, gypsies, blacks, different things like that. Like that. A little bit like, who is that gentleman in Italy? Mussolini. Similar. Karenika, please come in. I don't want you out there.
I think it's too hot for me. I'll just sit here. I can hear you from here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't mind if you hear me or not. I just want to see you.
I'll sit here.
Yeah. Next week, where's Juliana?
Me.
Ready? Next week, let's get Karenika the nicest, coolest chair. We're just going to put it like that.
You might have to put a fan in there too for me.
And a fan.
Next week very like
Maybe between the two of you, you work it out.
Next week she's at IKEA with me.
So this first one is just a yes/no, so we don't get distracted too much. Hitler and many people with him thought this is a good idea, this is a moral idea, this will lead us to a better world. It will be better for everyone, for most, if we do this. This is ethical, this is right. If he decides that, and some of that core group of Nazis decide that it is right, does it then become right? Or is right and wrong separate from the decisions of a group of human beings? Yes or no? Is it right or is it not right? When a group of human beings decide that it's something right, does it therefore become right? Does the universe just adjust to what we think? No.
That's not a question for yes or no.
We're going to get to one that you can elaborate on. I think that one is pretty much yes or no. You got a yes in there? You can hit me with it. Or a conditional no. A no with sometimes it might be right.
It depends on which view you have. So
Yeah.
if you're in the group, the decision might seem right, and if you're out of the group, the decision might seem wrong.
That's okay, but we're not talking about what the group thinks. We're talking about if the group thinks that, is it then right for everyone always? Is it then right in the ultimate,
Does it
absolute
become
sense?
morally right?
Does it
From a
become
bird's eye
morally
perspective?
right for everyone? Is it universally right?
No.
That's not.
Well. Sorry, Vincent. Okay, so now we're going to move ahead. Now we're going to go into an imaginary time, which didn't actually happen, or maybe it happened in some parallel universe. Hitler wins. The Nazis win. The whole world is now, they've actually killed every single human being on the earth who disagreed with them. So now every human being on earth thinks that was right. We did the right thing. We killed all those people. That was good. Does it now become good when every single person on the earth says it is? Or is it still ethically wrong, morally wrong, to kill all the Jews, to kill so many people, to do that, to invade other countries that were not pushing on them? Right or wrong?
Wrong.
Wrong.
From our perspective.
But who's there to
Yeah,
perceive?
the last perspective left is the right.
Who's the one to perceive?
Is there any life anywhere else other than this earth?
Yes.
Lindsay says yes. Are there other universes? Einstein said so. Is there a god, or gods, or the goddess, or are there other people outside this earth? Or what if people will be born in the future who will then look back at that time and say, no, it's not right. It's never right. It's interesting. What this leads us into is a debate. It's a perennial philosophical debate. The first time that I know of it is through Plato. He's talking about his teacher. His teacher, anybody know who Plato's teacher was? Plato's main teacher? Socrates. And he's having a conversation with a group of people called the Sophists. Where's Sophie? Hi. So, I can't remember that gentleman's name, but the leader of the Sophists, he was famous for saying, man is the measure of all things. If a group of people decide something's right, it is right. And if a group of people decide it's wrong, it's wrong. There is no, whereas Socrates was arguing a different way. He was arguing that there is actual, what in Sanskrit we call dharma. There is actual metaphysical, moral and ethical principles already existing in the universe. And we can either harmonize to them or not. But it will not change just because we change our minds. Do you follow me? So, let's take it to something very simple and very right now. Okay, let's take our bodies, like what Rohan has been kindly enlightening us on the last few Fridays. The idea is that there are laws of nutrition functioning here. And just because we change our mind and decide, like they did in the 50s or in the 30s, that cigarettes are good for you, it won't make them good for you. It doesn't change the actual laws of the universe. The laws of the universe already exist. And it's up for us to harmonize our eating and breathing and lifestyles in such a way with the laws of nutrition, and then we get health and happiness. This is the idea. This is Socrates' idea. And this was also Plato and Aristotle's idea. And Aristotle then went on to write two major works, one on physics and one on metaphysics. Meta just means beyond physics. So, like this, justice, injustice, beauty, friendship. Do you follow me? There's physical things like this tile, and then there's metaphysical things like justice. Justice is not made of molecules or atoms, or there's not a 2-pound justice or a blue justice. Justice is a metaphysical principle, but according to our great sort of Greco-Roman leaders in wisdom and philosophy, Aristotle is still taught to be the father of modern logic in the West. These principles actually do exist, and when we live ethically, we will become happy naturally. In other words, that there are universal principles of morality and ethics already there, and they're there for us to harmonize with or not. And no matter what we decide in our brains, if we do harmonize with them, like with nutrition, we will get good benefits. And if we stay in disharmony, in discord with Dharma, then we will get bad effects. George Lucas, who knows George Lucas? Star Wars? Yeah. So you got to forgive him for those last three. But when I was 4 years old and the first Star Wars came out, man, I was like Lord of the Rings, the Avatar, it was everything. Anyway, he studied a gentleman called Joseph Campbell. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of him. Joseph Campbell sort of, I think he's passed away now, but he studied all the sort of what he would call the myths of the world. Arthur and Camelot, and the Vedas, Krishna and Mahabharata, and biblical things, and traditional cultural things, and all these, like Siegfried, and he would study all these. Whether they're true or not true, he didn't mind. But he thought that they would reveal archetypes of human thinking. Freud talked about that also. So George Lucas studied this, and when he came across this idea of Dharma, that there is principles already here, invisible in a sense, but they're there. Laws of nutrition, laws of morality, laws of physics, they're all already here for us to discover. Laws of medicine, laws of mechanics, laws of whatever. They're already existing in the universe, and we either harmonize and learn about them or not. He called that the Force. May the Force be with you. Of course, he had a kind of an adjusted idea. And he also studied sort of samurai Japanese philosophy. Anyway, okay, so we're almost there. I have to take us around this route, otherwise it's actually not easy to sink into the assumptions that human beings had 2.5, 3.5, 4,500 years ago. So I'm trying to reel us back there. So you're in a culture where you take it for granted that there are moral and ethical laws. There is laws of relationships. What was that book? Laws of attraction. There are all these forces at work in the world, and it's just for us to enter into them, to understand them, to harmonize with them. You're in this type of culture. And now we're going to put in something, an idea which was ubiquitous, and I've used that word in the last 3 lectures, in the ancient world, but which is not really talked about much today, and that is the demigods. Jupiter, Apollo, the earth goddess, in Sanskrit she is called Bhumi, even river goddesses, and devas, forest devas, and this is the ancient world. They had an idea that we are conscious living beings, spiritual entities. As what's his name, Robert Morse says, we are divine beings having a human experience. We don't have a soul, we are the soul. We are spiritual beings come into this body having this experience. And 100 years ago we were having a different experience. And 100 years from now we'll have a different spirit experience again. Or even less. We're starting to get into this, starting to sort of feel our way in. So when they look at bodies, they see, okay, Vincent was born, he displays all sort of symptoms of life, he's doing the standard thing, growing and then maintaining for a while, getting old and passing away. His body's doing that. His body is animated, therefore Vincent is the soul within that body. So then when they look at that little orange cat that was here yesterday morning, or, what's her name? Radhika, that little baby calf that was mooing for Juliana yesterday, when they see them, they see the same thing. This person has taken birth, the soul is there, there's a soul in there, Radhika is in that body, she's having a calf experience, and soon she will have a cow experience, and she will get old, and she will pass away. But there's a person there, there's a soul there. This is a ubiquitous idea in the ancient world. You're in India, you're in China, you're in pagan Europe, you're in Northern Africa, you're in South America. You think like this in the old world. You see a jaguar running in the forest in Peru or something, you're thinking that's the jaguar people. I actually had some American Indian friends. I grew up a few years in America in a place called Montana, which is still a little bit Wild West. And some of my friends were American Indians. And not when they were at school, but when I was in their world, when I was with them and their families, they would still talk about the wolf people, the buffalo people, the pine people, meaning trees. They would talk like that. They see them as brothers and sisters. We're the human people, they're the buffalo people. They also have a language. They also have love and friendship. They also like certain foods and don't like others. They also have a birth and a growth and a lifespan. They also have children. They also get old. They also die. They think like this. You getting there? Then they go further. Well, this earth, she also is born. And she also has come to be at a certain whatever stage she is at now. And she will also end at some point. And she also shows all symptoms of life. Therefore, there is someone, a person, there. This is why, through the whole ancient world, they take it for granted that of course the sun is somebody. Jupiter is somebody. Not that, like, we're not our bodies either. We can chop off this foot, as Rohan said 3 weeks ago, and we're still here. But, like, this is our body, and we're having this experience. There is a god or a goddess, not the god, not that kind of idea, not the goddess, but a person is inhabiting this earth. And a person is inhabiting the ocean. A person is inhabiting the wind and these trees and this whole universe. You follow? So say in the Blackfoot Indian community, where some of my friends were from, in the United States, they see like that, the sun god. So then they do a thing in the morning when the sun comes up to offer respect to the sun god. This will lead us into a principle called Jagya, which was also, I'll try to avoid the ubiquitous word, was also everywhere, all pervading through the old world, traditional world. So you start to see how they perceived all life as brother and sister. Saint Francis of Assisi, what do you say? Brother, sun, sister, moon, like that. There's a whole little thing there. Yeah, you know. When you say San Francisco, do you think of Saint Francis anymore? Or we forgot that. San Francisco, right? Saint Francis, right?
San Francesco.
San Francesco, thank you. So this is old world consciousness. And when you expand that idea to the whole universe, that the universe itself has come into being, has grown, is growing, does show signs of life everywhere, and then will come to an end, that person, the soul in that body, that's God. This is their idea. Or in the Blackfoot Indian community, they would say the Great Spirit and the Great Mystery, meaning the great, meaning God and the Goddess, more or less, the way we would think like that. Okay, we're there, right? We're okay so far? Only one more step to go. Therefore, understanding these two principles, that all of the people around here and the what we call natural forces, sun, moon, Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, like this, they're actually persons. They may exist on a sort of higher dimensional sphere, but and they're obviously it's almost analogous to how, like, we have 100 trillion cells. So I've actually seen what skin looks like under an electron microscope. My dad has one. Anybody else ever done that? You don't want to know what is going on your skin or in your body. It is full of life, really weird looking life. All sorts of psychedelic, far out creatures are all over us by the billions. From their point of view, do they really grasp? We don't know, but do they likely grasp our life? Some of them only live a few seconds. Do they likely appreciate our ambitions, our hopes and dreams? They're not really in our sphere. They're not really in our dimensional day-to-day living space, but they live right on us. And similar to that, like Plato's so above, so below, this idea, we are living on Mother Earth. We are living in the sunshine, under the moonshine. We are living within the presence of all these people, but we're not really moving in their sphere. Okay, so now over to Dharma again. The laws of relationships, and this will be, I think, understandable to everyone, is, as Krishna says, evam pravartate chakram. Chakram means wheel, means circle, or sometimes disc. Relationships, the dharma of relationships is to keep the circle turning. I give to Sebastian, and he gives to me. I don't take from Sebastian, I just give. That's my part. And he gives to me. And we create love, like this. And of course, that's an art form because everyone's different, so you give in different ways. Like these blowflies. The best thing we may do is probably just not hurt them, let them go. So there's a limit how much we can love those blowflies. Nonetheless, we are receiving. You follow this idea? That there's a dharma here. There's a dharma of relationships, of love, of how to relate to people. And if somebody wants to enter into a relationship with me, how does that happen? They give to me. Maybe sweet words, maybe some kindness, maybe a little affection, maybe
Chocolate.
maybe chocolate. They start to give. And then what is my dharma? What is my... I need to give in return some gratitude. In Sanskrit that's called krita gya. Krita is where we get the word create. Gya is where we get the word knowledge. The knowledge of what was done for you, created for you. Like Kriya Yoga, doing yoga. When somebody's doing something for you, if you are krita gya, you perceive that. Sometimes if you're immature, if you're a little child, you may not understand people are giving to you. The parents are giving to you, loving to you. But when we do understand that, take care, Nina. When we do understand that, if we have that gratitude, then we respond. And it starts to create this evam pravartate chakram. It's keeping the wheel turning. Creates love. Appropriately. So then we get to the main spirituality of the old world. That is appreciating that these great persons in different spheres, higher spheres, the demigods, are giving us the ability to grow food, giving us sunshine, giving us the beautiful moon in the sky. And all of these planets and planetary systems, they have effects on us. Even the stars and so on, they have an effect. Like, it's an interesting thing which I never knew before gardening, that plants grow in the moonlight. Anybody ever know that? I never knew that. I thought it was like sun and rain, basically. But they grow well in the moon. Some plants grow really well in the moon, better than the sun. There's a type of lotus flower that only blooms in the moonlight. When the sun comes out, she goes back in. So we are receiving all of these things from Mother Earth, from the sun god, from the moon, like this. So to act appropriately, not like Homer calls them a thief, not like a thief, but just like a decent person, one reciprocates. One feels at least appreciation for the sun and the moon and the earth, and therefore you get the religious culture, the spiritual culture of the old world, where they're feeling that appreciation and they're going to the temple of the sun god or the temple of the moon or Durga or this or that, and they're offering something. Like the farmer will receive whatever, he grows his crop, he does a harvest, and then he takes the best of that harvest, knowing in his mind, I didn't do that much. I did my part, but so many other people helped me. So then he presents an offering back. That's called jagya, sacrifice. And Krishna says, by jagya, one becomes happy. By reciprocating appropriately with all the people around us in loving relationships, including these kind of people, one becomes happy. That's Krishna's words in the Gita. Now, after that, we would then draw into monotheism, which is a kind of different idea of the divine, or a further expansion of that same idea. But we won't do that today. I think that was already enough of a mind bend. Questions? Comments?